5.8 is compression. So compression is some more easy. We already did some really various use. The distal data can be compressed. Many people are familiar with. We are already some using zip file. Yeah, zip files and more compression. More another some using zip archive some application. They use it almost everywhere, including most communication technologies. Let's look at how data compression works. What feature it has. First, let's talk about the computer world for a moment and think about the compression around. What can you compress in your daily life? No. And nowadays, for example, when you put so I'm not sure about in Vietnam. Vietnam is more always just some hot. So don't need some other sweater or some other jacket. But anyway, for example, sweater or blanket into a wardrobe, you compress it. There's a lot of air in the button when it's normal. So this is really wrong. But when some savings store this one, so we can use normally this so empty this air and can compress or have save some location. So in other words, it can be saved to useless when stored. We can compress your photon by removing this waste space. Yeah. This is compressed. Yeah. So take a look closer. Then what is the waste of digital data? It is information that exchanges in the data in the digital world. That is, it can compress if it prevents waste of information. So, what is the waste information? What can you think of? What is your waste information?
This
Stories. Waste information. What is? In digital world. For example, full data this one, but I wanted to only this one. In this case, I don't need. In some case, it can be waste information. Or for example, more. I'm not sure about some. How can I say? For example, so human listening for this decibel. For we can listen this one, but another sounds, so this can use this one. You understand? This means that we don't need this on this. So we can trash this one. For example, our audio, this CD track is some way was natural device. We can some compress from wave to MP3 or anything. We can some compress really this waste mean instead for shapes like this one. For example, so let's see the sentence this below. If you declare the central processing unit as a CPU, after that we can just only use CPU. We don't need full sentence anymore. So we do not need to use it as a central processing unit each time. So the information is compressed. We can use some people that just only CPU. Yeah, it's
Sure.
yeah, character compressed. Yeah, okay, sure. In this way, digital data compression is basically some hybrid pattern recognition and change. Yeah. This is a load info example, but let's look at the picture so before that. So suppose a pi consists of 7 patterns, but before compression, let's compress this. The same data can be expressed by making a table of the other in which the words are arranged. Let's look at this one. People compress for just for example. A keyboard, CPU, SD card, network switch, CD keyboard monitor, DVD, CD CPU. For this is people compress pi. So we can some stores seems like this one. Keyboard we can call A, CPU we can call B, SD card we can see. Network switch is D. Just for example, after that some network switch we can see that this one. From SD card monitor, so we can this one. This is just some because text file more anything consists of only or 0 and 1 in computer world. But after compress, we can extract this one. Each pattern is stored one by one. A, B, C, D, E, F. So A, B, C, D, E, F only different. When some first one declare this one, each one by one. It only has pointers to the other in which each pattern is listed. This one. Yeah. It means that eject some air for your blanket or anything. So we can this waste we can save this location, this area. It's mean compressed. When using compressed, people you already some many times use zip archive or another some archive program and file when some making zip file. There I have some need to progress this one each pattern. What each pattern is stored one by one. Also, when you decompress or uncompress, use the same to waiting time from this to original file. So we need some time. Yeah. So finally, since digital data is represented by a common unit of binary numbers, it can be compressed in the same way, whether it is an image or a string. When you use zip archive program, you can see that some files have similar file size, but some files have the same file size because some files already have compressed. This is because the compression rate varies depending on how much the same pattern exists. So when you have matches some same pattern, we can get reduced file size. the more the same pattern, the higher the compression ratio. JPG or some another image file, same, some MP3, some audio files, there are some already archive file, it's compressed file. So already been compressed, so there is no change in size even when compressed to almost redundant patterns. Yeah. That's just some usually normally some compressed architect. How to compress, how to some decompress. Yeah, actually, this same architecture used when using Java. You can, when using Java, you can see that Java var. Yeah. Maybe we saw you first time see this Java var file. Yeah. There are some, we can use some. We can understand there are some zip file, but only some when some decompress this file, we can see also. I don't know how about this, right? This class. Sometimes yeah. Compression is a little bit, but processing is required for advanced preparation, as I told you. Yeah. Especially the method of preferentially searching for and changing a pattern having a high frequency, such as zip compression. It takes time to read the entire data at once. Yeah. Because this compressed program so needed to some check to which pattern have this file. So one time some entire data some need to read time. The advantage of compression is to reduce the size of data. Its main purpose. Yeah, and disadvantage there are some, it takes processing time and need to spend time. Although most compression use reversible compression. Yeah. It means that before okay, we can see that this one. It means that we can go back this jar file and from origin file. But in this case, so when I discuss this one, we cannot go back this time. Cannot go back some origin file. There are two kinds of different compressed. Yeah. So which can be returned to the original data. There is also a method of compressibility that cannot be restored to its original state due to reversible compression. So we can need two main things: reversible compression and irreversible compression. Yeah. This compression main concept The characteristics of compression technology are summarized as follows. The basics of compression are duplicate pattern recognition and changing it. The advantage of compression is that it reduces the size. Disadvantage is take upon one. Same thing. Yeah, same thing, this one. Well, anyway, there are reversible compression which can restore original compressed data, and irreversible cannot. Yeah, cannot go back. So someone guy said to me, time is just some reversible, irreversible. If some discuss about thing, we cannot go back. So when using time, always consider how to compress. There are some without IT infrastructure. Anyway, yeah. Where is it used? Is a file compression called zip that you have encountered and easy to understand. The file in the server may also be compressed into zip format if necessary. A typical example is a Java jar or WAR file, which is actually a zip format archive. Load the class file into memory at application startup. When this application startups, so load the file, WAR or jar, many. There are many files, source file. You can read the size by compression the data that you do not read, write, or only once. Yeah. So you understand? Yeah. Maybe Mr. Wong really can easily understand using this Java. For summary, to summarize, compression refers to the technique of removing data space by removing unnecessary space. There is an advantage in that the overhead can be reduced in data processing. Understand? Yeah. Because can reduce size, can reduce use bandwidth. So can be reduced in the data processing or exchanged by reducing the size. But there is also a disadvantage in that the resource load increased due to the decompression processing.